You are in for a real treat. This episode was originally recorded for my other podcast, but for you, it's been upgraded and transformed, and now you have the Ask the Pro show. So everything mentioned in this episode will now be found on chrisdufay.com, plus so much more, as I've designed the Ask the Pro podcast and chrisdufay.com to give you exactly what you need to grow your business success and for you to have the money, the freedom, and the happiness you want, making a bigger and better impact to the world unselfishly. So now it's time to delve straight into this episode, and I want you to lap up and enjoy every single second of it. My man, Ryan Spanger, thank you so much for coming onto the Turning Pro Academy podcast. I'm buzzed to have you because your wisdom, sir, has definitely made a huge impact on the way I roll with my own business and how I coach my clients to do their business. So I know there's going to be a lot of information that you're going to be throwing out today, and we're going to be answering a lot of questions that I know the listener's going to want. But before, Ryan, I let you absolutely unveil the truths to do everything with video. Tell the listener who Ryan Spanger is and why he's so phenomenal.
Well, thanks, Chris. It's good to be here. And really, I've been working in and around video production for the last 15 years. So what's become really popular now, I guess I was lucky enough or skillful enough to sort of get into it at an early stage. And I've always been quite obsessed with filmmaking and image making and creativity and making videos. So my background is that I studied documentary making, which I'm really passionate about, and I've brought a lot of those elements into working with businesses. So working with real people, telling their stories, and merging marketing with documentary making.
I think it's fantastic because what you're able to bring to the table is just not being done so much. And especially as we were talking just before I hit record and we were having a bit of a chat, I think a lot of people in the health and fitness world, when we start talking about video and how to use the power of video in their business, they kind of start thinking about all the guys on YouTube, and they're kind of like just the dudes working out with their shirt off. Yeah, hey, look, everyone's got a six-pack. Don't worry about that. But how can you go and actually build a business, build a list, build relationships with that list, have that credibility and authority in the industry? And I think that's where you come in so well, Ryan, by being able to produce video effectively and also efficiently, because I think so many people also think it's just way too hard, or it's going to cost too much money, or it's just going to take too much time. So we can hit those nails today during our chat.
Cool, that sounds good. And you mentioned the word relationships, and that's basically what it's all about. Because in the environment that we're in today, people prefer to go online and do their research independently. People are skeptical about salesmen and salesy talk, and they'd rather do their research in their own time. So even if you're referred as a personal trainer by someone else, pretty much the first thing people are going to do is get online and check you out. And that's your opportunity to start building a relationship with them. Maybe in the past, they might have immediately contacted you, had a chat on the phone, got a sense of what it might be like to work with you, and given you the opportunity to present yourself. But now that first interaction that they have with you is on video. So it's vital that you start building the relationship with them before they meet you. And you can do that through video online.
I think that's absolutely perfect, because I think with building a face-to-face and an online business, that relationship factor is so important, that know, like, trust factor about what's going to come on. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's a better way other than using video to create that.
I think it's the next best way to meeting people face-to-face. I mean, there's something about sitting across from people and looking them in the eye and getting the vibe of what they're like as a person. But if that's firstly, that's not always possible. Secondly, that's not leveraged. So when you're running a business and your business is growing, you don't always have the time to meet with people, to have a coffee with them, to talk about what it's going to be like working together. So video helps to answer a lot of those questions and helps to build the relationships. So when you are working to bring on new clients, you can do a lot of that work in a more automated way. People can find out who you are and what you're all about and what you like, and see you talking and see what you're passionate about. So by the time they're actually talking to you, if you've done your job well on video, they're really half sold already.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. Okay, this is fantastic. So I think what we should be doing, Ryan, today is I want to cover a couple of different types of videos that the listener can start thinking about on sinking their teeth into creating. And then we can delve down the tech side, because I always know, especially because myself and you were the person that cleared up those answers for me with what to do with it, so we can go down. So when we had a chat, you presented at an awesome conference, did a great speech down in Manly. It was only a few weeks ago that I got to actually see and have a good talk with you. And you covered 4 types of videos, and I think it's brilliant for the listener to take on what these types are. Those being a case study video, a documentary style sales video, a sales funnel video, and content videos. What do you think should be their main focus? Straight off the bat, what should number 1 be for the listener?
So really the first step is to shift your focus and the way that you think about video. I have a lot of people who contact me, and really what they're thinking about is, I want a video for the homepage of my website. Well, the other thing they're thinking is, I want to create a YouTube video strategy, and start to think about video more as an ongoing strategy where you're communicating with people at different stages of the sales cycle. So you're creating some videos for people who are just getting to know you. They're just curious. They want to learn a little bit more. You're creating videos for people who are now engaged and are looking forward to getting, regular content from you. And you're also creating content which is helping turn people who are maybe in a research phase into a buying phase. So essentially people who are now following you and watching your videos to take the next step and either buy an online product that you're offering or come and train with you. So that's the first step, is to think about video rather than, I need a video for my homepage, to there's lots of different ways you can use video for people at different stages of the sales cycle. So that being said, where do people start with video? Well, I think for, personal trainers or people working in the health industry, a great place to start is creating regular, useful, interesting content. So content marketing, blog, updates, news stories, videos that you can put on YouTube. Start to share yourself and your story and your knowledge and build your expert status by releasing regular videos. And the cool thing about these content marketing videos is that you don't have to be a superstar video maker. People will forgive average production values if you can give them really good content. So it's all about getting out there and starting to share your information and your knowledge and build up your expertise and show people, give them a taste of what it would be like to work with you.
I think it's fantastic. You also just brought up a great point that I hadn't actually thought about, that I've used, but obviously using video as a deliverable as well. So whether it is you're selling, say, an online information product, having video a part of that really increases the value that you're giving. But also, say, for a face-to-face or service-based company, you can still definitely use video to help them walk along the process of how they're going to achieve their results for what they've come to. It could even help them stick to the plan that you've created for them or something like that. I think that's a great thing that you've brought up, is there's so many different types of use with video, but making sure that you are very specific with what you're creating for where they are in the relationship process.
Yeah, and particularly for the fitness industry, which is very visual. Partly it's about proof. So as someone working in that industry, people want to see proof that you practice what you preach. So they want to see you. They want to see what you look like. They want to see your skills. And they want to see, what you look like when you work out. And then secondly, it's about demonstrating. So more and more people are starting to do their own training, independently from home, watching videos online. And so that's just a great opportunity.
We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in a split with so much more for you. Now, I know You're listening and tuning in because you know how important your health is and how this can also catapult your business. This is why I'm very happy to say that this podcast is sponsored by My Body Blends and my favorite, the Superfood Elixir, the powerful greens drink. Now, this is designed specially to boost energy, aids detoxification, enhances the ability to burn fat, supports healthy carbohydrate metabolism, and best of all, is voted best tasting greens drink. Now, myself and the My Body Blends team are looking for ambassadors to join, so you and your clients get the health benefits plus adding in a strong income stream for you and your business. The ambassador program, which is by application only, means you get exclusive access to sell My Body Blends products like Superfood Elixir to your clients, plus giving you the special ambassador pricing and bonuses. So once you become an ambassador, you can join the other top health and fitness players that are adding thousands to their week's income. Now, there is only a limited number of ambassadors we are taking on board, as this is a tribe leading the way together. So to apply and to join, go to mybodyblend.com/ambassador or add the checkout code that is Turning Pro, all one word, when you're going to get your own Superfood Elixir to order. Plus, you're going to get free shipping and a bonus to save yourself over $250 instantly. So just use that coupon code Turning Pro in the checkout and you can save over $250 right now, all on mybodyblend.com.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, you brought up a great bit with the case study style video to get done. And this was something I only just kind of learned from you and having seen it before. And I remember the first time I applied this for myself was actually for these internships that we run, these 5-day courses that we run, teaching trainers how to actually become physique coaches. And anyway, at the end of the 5-day internship, I just whipped my camera out, sat everyone down in front of me one at a time and just asked a couple of questions. Why would you recommend the internship? What did you get out of it? What did you learn? Those kinds of things. And I think I did an all right job, but it could have been done so much better. What is your advice for someone when they want to start putting some case study videos together?
Well, I think it's great what you did because you were collecting proof. So before people buy from you, or before they enter into a relationship with you and take you on as a trainer, they have two things going on. There's basically hope and fear. They're really hopeful that this is going to be a great journey, that you're going to take them to where they want to go, that it's going to be a great working relationship. And they also have fear, so they're thinking about the things that might go wrong. I don't know, will this person overtrain me? Will they end up aggravating an injury? Will they understand what my needs are? In any industry, people are going to have particular concerns, or what they call in the sales industry, objections.
Yep.
So it's important to start to think about what are the things that are holding people back from working with you. What are their fears? What's holding them back? And then addressing those in a video, like a case study video. What you were talking about sounds a little bit more like a testimonial video, which is basically an interview, an endorsement of essentially someone saying, I worked with you, I got a lot of benefit, here's what you did. And that's a great start. And what you can do with a case study video is go a little bit deeper. So a case study video is telling the story of the journey of that person, what their situation was like before, what their biggest challenge was, how you helped them solve that, or how you helped them move them along the journey and where they are now. And why these are so popular and why they're so effective is that people, when they're thinking about buying or entering into a relationship with a trainer, they want to see proof and they want to see someone's story just like them, someone that they can relate to. And if they watch a compelling story of someone who has gone on a similar journey and you've helped them, then they immediately, associate you with their success and they relate to the person in the video, and they'll say to themselves, I connect with that person. I relate to their journey. And if he's helped this person, I bet he can do the same thing for me.
I think that's great. And it's really good differentiation between what you said is what a testimonial video is and a case study video. And I really see a case study style video being so much stronger because really, and correct me if I'm wrong again, but the aim of that is to make sure that the viewer is really connecting and putting themselves in the seat of the case study at hand in the video.
It is more powerful. You know, where a testimonial video is most effective is if you're dealing with someone with a high profile, someone famous. You know, so if you had Arnold Schwarzenegger saying, you know, I trained with him and he was fantastic and he taught me one or two things I didn't know, then that's going to be incredibly powerful. If it's someone who is not widely known, it doesn't have that same level of power. Whereas with the case study video, because you're actually getting to know them as a person and going a little bit deeper into their journey, it starts to become more powerful because while in the case study video you're telling the story of that person, you're actually telling the story of the viewer. And that's a really powerful idea in sales and marketing, and that is if you can tell the story of someone to them even more articulately than they're able to tell their own story, then they will immediately associate you with having the solution.
It's great how that connection comes across, and that's obviously the exact result that you're looking for.
Correct.
Now, okay, case study testimonial style videos, fantastic. I think the listener really needs to sit down after they're listening to this episode and put together the plan for what needs to happen with that. I want to kind of transverse across into the content style videos because, as you said before, the content marketing is so powerful and I think an absolute must. How can someone start to put together the general overview plan so that they're creating effective content videos?
Cool. Let's talk about that. And just on the case study video topic, it's a great opportunity right now for the listener to think about who are those one or two or three people that they've worked with who are their, you know, their stars, who are so transformed by the effect that you've had on them that they would shout your name from the rooftops. They would be only too happy to get involved with a video and tell their story. You know, people who've been transformed. How can you tell their story? Because that's so powerful. So think about who those people are and how you can get their story out there. In terms of content marketing, you know, being a personal trainer or working in the health and fitness industry, it just lends itself to this stuff because it's so visual. There's so many, you know, stories that you can tell, and you know, a gym is just such a visually interesting place. You can demonstrate exercises. You can go outside. You can talk about competitions. There's so much to talk about. So I guess with content marketing and video content marketing particularly, what you're doing is just creating interesting stories and sharing useful information on a regular basis. So I guess the first step is to think about what's going to be really interesting for people. What are the most common questions that you're asked? What are some interesting situations that you get into? What's some really cool cutting edge knowledge that is coming down the pipeline that people don't even know about? So, you know, maybe it's about supplements, maybe it's about new exercises, maybe it's about new research that's coming out about fitness. There's so much rich, interesting stuff there. And so you can start to make a list of what is this information that you can share. That's really the place to start.
I think that's really good because, especially being in the health and fitness world, there are such an array of topics to be covered that are so interested for the potential customer and the client at the same time. Now, I'm a very kind of structured type of person. So when I started to do this, I got immediately overwhelmed. I had a huge list of different topics that I wanted to cover. I jumped on a couple of different resources. I jumped on YouTube. I tried to find out what was popular and what were other people talking about so I could maybe do it differently at the same time to deliver better but different content to make sure I could kind of stand out a little bit. But then I had to put together, and then I ended up finding out what their proper name was, but an editorial calendar. So being able to map that out. What are your views on putting an editorial calendar and having that plan so the listener can actually really start to execute on this?
I think it's a great idea. I mean, it's similar to what you would do when you're training clients, or when you're doing your own training. You would have an exercise plan in place, because obviously the better you plan, the more effective your exercise is going to be. That being said, with the videos that I make, I don't always have a number of compelling topics on my list.
Mm-hmm.
Often I'll just be either speaking to a client or reading something, or I'll have an idea and I'll write that down. But just sort of, a client might ask me a question and it'll prompt me thinking, and I'll just make a quick note of that. And then what I'll do next is try to flesh it out into maybe 5 key points. What are the 5 most interesting things that people want to know about that? And I'll tend to just do it when the idea hits. So for me now, I often only have 1 or 2 really, compelling ideas for my next video. And I'm happy to do it that way, because I know that these are like fresh, genuine, interesting things. And I think if I had to sit down and write 10 or 20 ideas, I might struggle with that. I mean, that being said, when you're getting your content marketing strategy happening, you probably will be able to think of that many things. Because, there's diet, there's exercise, health, science, maybe some interesting stories about some of your clients. There's so many different things you can do. But I think if you can also commit to a plan, like create a habit out of it, again, just like training, the more that you train on a regular basis, the easier it becomes to manage that commitment, and the more you stick to it. And I think making videos is the same. You need to make a habit. I mean, what was it like for you, Chris, when you first started making videos and getting over that initial challenge of getting in front of the camera, making the videos, doing it on a regular basis? I imagine it was a little bit challenging at first.
It was tedious, Ryan. I'll be completely upfront. It was very interesting how long everything took. So I guess kind of the way is I learned, I was like, right, I know video is something that I have to do. I put it off for ages. Then I simply was like, nah, pull your finger out, Chris, get this done. I have to do it. So then I learned what I needed to do, got together the equipment, and then started roughly shooting. Luckily, at the end of the day, I think what the listener should also understand is you edit out all the stuff you don't want people to see. So all that stuff never gets in there. But yeah, it's a interesting process of learning everything. But now it's finely tuned. It's in a bit of a checklist format, and I can happily 3 days a week roll videos out.
It's also quite confronting when you start, because you realize that you have these habits and mannerisms that you weren't aware of.
Yes, great point.
And, people on TV make it look so easy. And then when you get in front of the camera, you realize it's actually incredibly hard. And so the first few videos that you make, listener, are probably not going to be that great. Like, I remember the first one that I made, and I did it myself, and I've got many years of making videos. It took me so long to make. I finally got through, and I remember showing it to my wife, and she just laughed, and she said, you can't put that out there. I think I was just, by the time I got the video done, I was so serious and so kind of stressed by the whole process that I ended up just chucking it away and making another one. And slowly over time, my videos improved. But, you could almost say, go out there, make a video, watch it, realize some of the things that you should change, chuck it away, and then make another one, and just stick with it, because each time you make a video, it's just going to get better and better.
I think that's absolutely spot on. I did a bit of a batch of shooting yesterday, and I was super surprised with how many I got through so quickly. And I've even been editing it myself on Final Cut Pro, and how quick I've gotten into the whole process. So I can bang out actually 2 weeks worth of video content within a couple of hours.
That's awesome. The other challenge that listeners will have is that when you first start, you're in a bit of a void, so you might make a video, put it out there, you might not get that much feedback, and it takes time for momentum to build. So it's important to make a long-term commitment of maybe 6 months or a year, and start to track how things are going, and you'll start to notice your momentum will grow, you'll start to get more feedback, and your confidence in front of the camera will grow. But it's important to get through that initial phase.
What do you think holds people back when it first comes to like, okay, they're going to listen to us right now. What's sitting in their head that's going to hold them back that you can tell them that's going to give them the kick up the backside to get going?
Well, it's a hassle. It's really exactly the same as training. You know, most people who walk around on the streets, you know, they don't have six packs. Let's say they don't really want it. They're not prepared to invest the time, the energy, the discomfort to achieve a particular body. And then there's some people who do because it's really important to them, and they get the benefits, they get the results, and it's no different to that. You know. Like I'm into cycling, and I got up at 5 this morning to go cycling because it's like sufficiently important to me to make that sacrifice to end my sleep early to go and do that because I feel like I'm getting the benefits.
Yeah.
Whereas most people won't do that. So if you think about that, if you're a trainer, you know exactly what it takes for you and your clients to get the results that you're looking for. So you think about the benefits, you think about the training and how it's going to make you feel better. It's going to make you more confident. You'll look better. You'll be stronger. You'll be healthier. You'll live longer. All those things. Identify what the benefits are of making video. Really tune into what those things are, and then make that commitment. And I think it's exactly the same as training.
Beautiful. Love the connection, Ryan. Man, the fitness. Okay, now let's do the tech side, because I know this is going to be a bit of a stumbling block or question in the listener's mind right now. Let's do two different scenarios, Ryan. Let's go, all right, someone's willing to put a bit of an investment in. What should they do there? And then let's go bare bones. What can someone start with to get the ball rolling and then obviously grow from there?
The first thing you need is a decent microphone. It doesn't have to be amazing, but the most important thing is to have reasonable sound. And that's like the biggest problem, I think, when people start. It's really annoying, when you watch a video and you can't hear properly. If the content's good, you are prepared to forgive the sort of dodgy production values, but it's really important to hear people properly. So you need to use an external microphone. Don't rely, even if you're using your iPhone, you can get away with that for video, but don't rely on the built-in microphone of a camera. So that's the first thing, is arrange a proper microphone that you can record sound directly, because the whole principle with sound is the closer you get the microphone to the source of the sound, the better the quality is. The further the microphone is away from you, the more the recording mechanism is going to raise all of the ambient sound around you. So especially if you're in somewhere like a gym where there's a bit of noise and echo and that sort of thing. So get a decent microphone. It's good to start with what you've got already. It also depends on your ability to take on new technology, because sometimes, people can just set themselves up for failure by not only taking on the challenge of writing content, of getting in front of the camera, of performing, but then also having to deal with all these kind of new, like, technological complexities. So you can actually start with an iPhone and an external microphone if you want to, or you can get a camera. You can use the camera that you've got already. And lighting is something else that people think about. Without making it too challenging for yourself, a good place to start is thinking about where you can position yourself so you're using the natural light. So using light coming from windows, using light that already exists. Sometimes you notice with photos and video, people look very dark because there's a lot of light behind them, and the camera is on this auto function where it's looking at the image and the camera's saying, based on that, I can see quite a lot of light. So I'm going to set the exposure at a certain level, which, creates this kind of silhouette effect. So think about having the light source in front of you. These are just really basic things, but they can make a massive difference. And as I said at the start, if your content is good, people will forgive average production values, but your sound has to be good.
It was great that you brought up the topic of needing great quality audio, because I think so many people just would not think about that. Like, yes, we're recording a podcast right now, so I've got a great microphone sitting straight in front of my face, but the audio for the videos is so important as well. Now, I'm not clued into actually what the tech stuff is that I've got. I've got a Rode something that sits on top of my camera, Ryan, shooting straight at me. What's that called? A shotgun, a boom, what is it?
Yeah, that sounds like sort of an external camera mic or a type of shotgun microphone, which is better than the built-in microphone. But unless that's really close to you, you're still getting a lot of the ambient sounds
noise
around you.
So the next step after that is a lavalier. Am I correct?
Yeah, that's one way of doing it, which you can either use like a wireless lavalier or lapel mic.
Yep.
It's called. And the cool thing with that is, particularly if you're demonstrating exercises and you're moving around a lot, obviously something that's wireless is just going to be a lot more convenient, but there's an expense because you're looking at spending, $700-800. The other option is to take a shotgun microphone and mount it on a stand. So you can get something like a light stand with a boom pole, which is basically a stick that the microphone goes on, and then you can mount this shotgun microphone onto what's called a pistol grip, which goes onto the boom pole. So it's a pretty simple setup, and that basically puts the microphone just above your head, just out of shot, and gets really good sound. So if you're not moving around much, then that's a good option. If you're moving around a bit, then a lapel or lavalier mic is good.
Fantastic. Okay, so then going to the type of camera, what would be like a decent camera to start with that gets the job done? Like I know myself, I'm going to turn this sucker around. Was it a Canon 550D? And I did make sure that I had, is it a 50mm lens so I can get a good blur on the background as well?
Yeah, that's a good camera. There's a lot of Canon cameras in that range. So there's like a 550D, 600D, 650D. They're all pretty similar, and they're pretty good value. Like I think that 550D is now about $500, which is amazing value for what you can do. And then the next models up, which are very similar, might take you up to about $800. You mentioned the lens. Again, really good value. I think that lens costs about $120. And you're right, it can you can sort of blur the background out, and it's what's called a shallow depth of field. So there's only a small amount that's actually in focus, which basically looks really cool. It looks professional. The challenge is that if you don't get it right, you end up with out of focus shots.
Yeah.
You can see a lot of that on YouTube. So often what will happen is people will get, this is definitely what I did, got really excited about shallow depth of field, and you're just trying to make it look as shallow as possible. And then when you get into the edit, you realize, someone's moved, you're a little bit out of focus. So it's good to find a balance between blurring the background out and not going so extreme that you're ending up with blurred shots. It does look more professional. It just looks visually more impressive, and it puts the focus on the person and blurs out the background. So I think something like that setup that you've got is a great place to start. You can start, like I mentioned, with an iPhone and a lapel microphone that you plug into that. So you don't use your inability to, say, afford technology or want to invest in it as a reason not to do it. You can start with what you've got, but those Canon cameras are also a really great place to start as well.
No, I think that's fantastic because obviously, Ryan, you know what you're talking about, and you're such an expert in this field that delivers great quality. And I thought it would be a funny juxtaposition to have you and me talk about this, because I clearly have no idea with the technical side. I can get the job done. It's kind of like knowing how to turn your room light on, but you don't know how electricity works. And it was great because you've been able to answer some very critical questions, because I really want the listener to be able to take away, one, that they just need to start using video. I just think it's a must for so many people, especially in the fitness world, but also how to do it right. And I think I'm a bit of a perfectionist when it comes to it, but I'd learned a lot about this, about at least get something that is good enough to get going and then always improve from there. So it's fantastic.
There's also the option of bringing in a professional, obviously, depending on the budget that you have available, to get you started. Because people often immediately think, well, it's going to be much better value for me to buy a camera and do all this stuff myself, but when you are working with a professional, you could get someone who could come in and work with you for half a day and create a huge amount of content. And obviously, because it's something they do every day, they can turn that around quite quickly, and it may not cost as much as you think. And when you add up your time that you spend getting up to speed with the technology, dealing with technical challenges, learning editing. I'm not saying that it's not something that you should or shouldn't do, but it's worth exploring.
Yes, absolutely.
What's it going to be like to bring in a professional versus, doing that myself? Or are there some videos that I should do myself and some that I should work with a professional?
Exactly right. I think that's a great point, because someone could be looking at, okay, I want to produce all the content marketing side videos by myself, but I need maybe some the doco style sales videos. That would be someone where I need to bring in a professional to get the job done.
Yeah, definitely. And there's lots of options, really, just depending on the time that you want to spend on video. It might be something that you sort of have a natural ability for or real interest in. We worked with a client recently where they came in to our studio, and within 3 hours, we'd shot 32 content marketing videos.
Wow.
So, you can, if you have the ideas and you're comfortable in front of camera, you can create a lot of content in quite a short time. So they basically have, like the next 6 months of content ready to drip feed. So there's a lot of options there.
That's great. That's so good to hear. Okay, Ryan, fantastic, mate. Now, I've got 2 questions, sir, that I ask everybody that comes onto the podcast. I just want a quick fire answer, just whatever's on the top of your tongue, on the top of your head, let it roll out. First one, my man, is what is your definition of happiness?
My definition of happiness is freedom. It's about being able to do the things that you want to do when you want to do them.
I think that's great. You just absolutely hit a ball out of the park on that one. Now, number 2, buddy, is what are you grateful for today?
I'm really grateful for the opportunity to speak about stuff that I'm so passionate about. I'm grateful for going for an amazing bike ride this morning and noticing the first light sort of, coming up as I finished the ride, and just, setting up my day. And just sometimes when I'm on my bike, I really do feel that genuine kind of sense of gratefulness just to have a body that works, that, is able to do, the things that I'm doing, is able to put me on a bike and, travel long distances and have that, fantastic feeling of like adrenaline and then calm afterwards.
That's brilliant, mate. All right, awesome. Now, Ryan, I know the listener is really going to want to learn more about you and everything that you're doing. So where can we connect with you more?
Have a look at dreamengine.com.au. There's a lot of videos there. There's a lot of examples of things like case study videos. So you can go there and have a look and get some ideas of how to create a case study video, good structures for storytelling. And if you have a look on the blog section, there's just a lot of interesting information about creating your own videos, about doing interviews, what questions to ask, that sort of thing. So there's a lot of resources there.
Fantastic. All right, well, I'm going to put that link in the show notes. Ryan, I'm very, very grateful for you coming on today, mate, and unveiling so much, because you've absolutely dished out some serious quality answers. I had a lot of questions and we pumped through them, mate. So I'm really giving you a huge tip of the cap. Big thanks.
Thank you, Chris. I really enjoyed it.
So now it's time for you to click on over to chrisdufay.com. That's chrisdufey.com to get all the guides and show notes. And if you are wanting the workshops where I walk you through how to build your online business, click on over to chrisdufay.com/start here. This is where I can give you the exact training guides and the workshops for exactly where you're at and the answers that you need. Now, every Friday I'm coming back to you with a new episode. So So be sure to subscribe, and if you haven't already, you're going to be getting the world's best insights, the advice and the answers to give you the business, the money, the freedom and the success and happiness that you want. And I want to give you a huge muchas gracias for being here with me. And as always, get in touch with me via the site or via social, as Ask the Pro is about me giving you the answers that you need. So ask away.